Hello, everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, the Blue Jays, we've heard some pretty interesting words coming from other executives' mouths over the past week at the GM meetings. And the word on the street is the Blue Jays reek of desperation. Now, we're going to react to that comment, obviously break that down. What does that mean? What are the Blue Jays trying to actually accomplish? And is this a good or a bad look for the ball club? Before we get into it, though, guys, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today to stay up to date with all the latest Blue Jays news and content. So we heard this from Buster Olney, who went on to the First Up podcast and talked a little bit about what this executive had to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. We've got a clip here. We're going to play it for all y'all, and then we're going to talk about it. So first, here, let's play the clip.
And he, before I even got a chance to ask him about, specific teams, he goes, well, I can tell you this. There's one team that absolutely reeks of desperation, and that's the Blue Jays. He said they are going to do some big stuff. I had a fascinating conversation.
So there you have it, guys. There's the quote from Buster Olney, the Blue Jays reek of desperation. That's coming from a word of another executive. So, Nick, when you hear that, first of all, initial thoughts of the Blue Jays reeking of desperation.
Well, I saw, and big shout out to the First Up podcast, by the way. Check them out, guys. You can watch their whole interview with Buster Olney if you'd like to. That's just one little segment of it. But I saw somebody after I tweeted that out there say, usually when you hear the term reeks of desperation, it doesn't result in good outcomes. And I get that. Whenever somebody is telling you, just in your life, whether it be a significant other or, just anybody, that you are reeking of desperation, typically that means, all right, we got to take it a step back. However, on the flip side of things, the Toronto Blue Jays are desperate. They won 74 games last year. They were last place in the division. They are in a situation right now where Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in 1 year time might be on the free agency market doing the whole Juan Soto thing as he is doing it right now. They are desperate. This is time to do something. So it's like I don't see any lies coming from Buster Olney, coming from that executive that came and spoke to him right there. I think that the thing that could be problematic, or you could kind of spin in a negative way here, is, you don't want to be so desperate that you're going out and finding yourself into bad deals later down the line because you overpaid for, this guy or that guy because you were so desperate.
Yeah, I mean, I could hear that absolutely. However, I think that realistically, looking at this roster, that is kind of the only route that you got to go, where you got to kind of be a little bit desperate. I broke this down on a video room last week where, I think that the Blue Jays' only strategy to get back in contention is to fire as many shots as possible, because the Blue Jays do face a lot of obstacles here this offseason. We have 74 wins to our name last year. We have guys on expiring contracts. And we're up in Canada. A lot of people don't really want to come and cross the border, right? So there's a lot of obstacles in our way. And I think the only way to ensure that you do lock down some sort of talent this offseason is to be desperate and shoot all the shots. So I do think it could be a good thing, and that is actually what Buster Olney said, saying that they're poised to do some pretty big stuff here this offseason because of how aggressive they've been. On the counter side of things, yeah, I mean, you could look down the line and go, well, that will affect you down the road, is signing all these guys and not knowing really exactly what the plan is for the future. Unless, of course, you extend your window inside of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., then okay, well, then the whole window is opened up a little bit better. But you're right, there is an avenue where the Blue Jays could be going down a wrong route in terms of locking themselves down to bad contracts. What are you more worried of, or what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I think that ultimately there needs to be a level of desperation. You just gotta be able to still be okay to walk away from the table.
Right.
I don't want to pay Alex Bregman $200 million. And,
right.
There was talks from Buster Olney that Alex Bregman is a serious target from the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, does that excite me? Absolutely it does. I mean, Again, that's a good ball player, but, I don't want to be in that situation where the only way that you're going to be getting these guys in is by way overpaying. And there's always going to be an element of some type of overpaying. But, there needs to be a line that we decide, okay, we're not crossing over this line. And ultimately, if the choice is $200 million for Alex Bregman, I say no thank you. And then I look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and I say, let's get this extension deal done. Because if I'm going to get rinsed in any capacity, I'd rather it be on an extension for him. So that's what I look at in the terms of reeking of desperation. Now, on the, I guess, other side of things, how we finished off that sentence was they're going to do something big. Right? Like this whole desperation from them is going to lead them into doing a big thing. So is that a Juan Soto? Is that an Alex Bregman? Is that a Corbin Burns, right? Like, what does that mean? How big? Is it a multitude of those players? Is it a big trade? Is it something involving a Bo Bichette going somewhere else? I know they came out and they said, oh, we don't want to do that, but I mean, if you're fucking desperate, right, and that's what people are asking for, like, I think that really the fact that apparently we are so desperate and the fact that, these MLB executives are saying that we are going to do something big, it doesn't still me with hope that, all of these articles we're hearing about how the Blue Jays are in on it, as much as people want to go, oh, we're not going to get anybody, I do think that after hearing this, we are going to get somebody, and it's not just going to be a Yusei Kikuchi, no disrespect to him, but a Yusei Kikuchi level deal. It is going to be a top caliber free agent.
Yeah. Now to circle back, circle back a little bit. Like you were talking about, Blue Jays reeking of desperation and going out and getting a Juan Soto. I think that's part of it, absolutely, because he's part of the big wide net that you're trying to cast this offseason. However, Olney, speaking of Olney's words here, he doesn't really believe that the Blue Jays are going to get Juan Soto this offseason. Not to say that they won't, but why not have a meeting and see if you can? He thinks more likely instead of a Juan Soto, they're going to go get these Alex Bregmans or an Anthony Santander that he does mention here. He actually, funny enough, you were talking about the money for Alex Bregman. He actually wants $300 million this offseason. That's what he's looking for. More than 6 years, $300 million contract. And if the Blue Jays are reeking of desperation, they might get close. Not saying they're going to pay him $300 million, but they might find themselves in a way where no one's willing to pay that money, even close to that money, but they're willing to match, at least try to get a little bit closer to that,
and that
which could be bad.
That would be a mistake, right? Like that's where, okay, if you are so desperate, that's where it's going to be a mistake. You look over and we've seen this, there's been bad contracts before, right? We were actually just on our other podcast, Bad for Baseball, talking about the LA Angels. Mm-hmm. You look back at it now and maybe it was a desperate move to sign Anthony Rendon to that $300 million contract that is not looking so good right now, or $250 million, however much it was. It was a lot of damn money. We heard from we were talking about how the Arizona Diamondbacks guy came out and was saying how, well, it was a desperate move to go and get Jordan Montgomery, and he wishes that he hadn't done it. So yeah, there is a negative element to being so desperate that you're going to go out here, you're going to freak out, you're going to overpay for an Alex Bregman and give him $300 million, and then the dust settles, and you're like, oh,
why did we do that?
Shit.
Yeah.
What is this, right? And I don't want that to happen. So there needs to be an element of, I guess, like immediacy, and you have to feel that pressure. And I'm happy to hear that there is a bit of a fire lit under Ross Atkins' ass. I want that to be the word on the street, that the Blue Jays might fucking go crazy enough to go out and get one of these guys. But it all needs to be within reason, because $300 million for Alex Bregman, I'm not sure if I'm capable of doing something like that.
No, and I don't think you should absolutely do that at all. I mean, he's turning 31 next season. If you want something over 6 million or 6 years, you're locking this guy down until he's 37, 38, 39, and you're already starting to see, again, still a good player in the last 4 years, but you can start to see the regression happening just a little bit from his earlier days when he was in his mid-20s, late 20s. But now you're starting to see, he's entering into just a stable, solid bat. And granted, he did win a Gold Glove this year. That's solid. But is that going to last for the next 6 to 7 years? Is what you got to ask that question for that kind of money. So I do hope that we can kind of avoid that situation if need be. But if not, I mean, do we really think, you have to ask yourself, is Alex Bregman going to be the difference maker between, going to the playoffs and going deep and not, right? There's a lot of arguments that you could say yes, but there's also a lot of problems that you've got to solve in that bullpen as well, right? So you got to have to, justify that decision making. On the flip side of things, we are also kind of being said that we're looking into an Anthony Santander, which absolutely would make a ton more sense because apparently he's going to cost a lot less money. I disagree with Spot Rack here, thinking that he's only going to get $88 million. I've even seen other contract projections saying he's going to get like 3 years, $70 million.
Yeah, that's out there.
That's out there as well. I think he's going to hit the $100 million mark, but even that is a lot safer of an investment. Same age as Alex Bregman. He's going to be turning 31 next year, and he has just a little bit less contract, I guess, commitment to his name because of the volatility with the amount of slug he has and less power, and not so much of a name notoriety as an Alex Bregman, right? So for me, this seems like a more obvious kind of choice that you got to go get if you are Ross Atkins, and it would be it would make a lot more sense for us in a monetary standpoint.
Well, out of the two guys that Olney brought up, yeah, I agree with you. I think the safer option and probably just the better option overall for us would be an Anthony Santander. But I don't think that the Blue Jays are limited to that, and I think that if you are actually a desperate team like these other MLB executives are suggesting that you are, and you are going to go out and do something big, maybe it's not Juan Soto, but there's a lot of other guys out there. I think that we're going to be in the mix for Pete Alonso. I think that we're going to be in the mix for a starting pitcher. That's been talked about quite a bit. A Max Fried. Initially, when I was hearing that they were looking at a starter, I was thinking maybe it was going to be a fourth or fifth guy. After hearing this, well,
yeah,
okay. I mean, why not? Why not a Max Fried? Why not a Blake Snell? Why not?
Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content. Right. Yeah, a lot of people were saying well, we don't need any more starting pitchers, and you're not wrong. I mean, from all the positions, from the three parts of the game that the Blue Jays have, bullpen, starters, and lineup, that's the least one I got to worry about. However, I will throw this argument back out there. They're trying to cast the net right here and bringing in any sort of talent to be an upgrade over what would be their fifth starter of Yariel Rodriguez. Hell, now Yariel can go in the bullpen. That solves a little bit of bullpen issue right there. We can go eat some innings, later down the line. This, I think, adding any sort of talent is going to be a key to the victory, key to winning next year.
Of course, right? And also too, there's a lot of talent in terms of starting pitching on the market right now. You don't often see 5 kind of elite guys, and there is quite a few, a handful of dudes who are really, really, really good. You look at the Toronto Blue Jays books, and you see that Chris Bassett in a year's coming off of it. You see in 2 years Kevin Gausman's coming off of it. I know that Jose Barrios, believe that
he's a player
exactly
option.
Right. There's an opt out right there, so you never know what could happen there. You bring in somebody like a Max Fried. Yeah, maybe it's not necessarily the 100% biggest need right now. But now it's okay, there's not going to be, or at least you hope that in the next couple of years, you're never going to be in a situation where your pitching staff is completely desolate and we're oh, holy fuck, who is going to pitch innings? A broken elbow like Ricky Tiedemann or, whatever it may be. So it's I obviously wouldn't want that to happen. I don't think the Jays want that to happen. They're looking for the future. Ultimately, to hear that they reek of desperation, it, immediately raises some red flags. But I do think that this is a good thing. I think that they are aware of where they are as an organization. And so often we get fed these trigger words about how we've seen encouraging signs. And, it's literally Ross Atkins is gaslighting us. To hear that at least internally people believe that they believe they're desperate instills me with a little bit of confidence, because now at least we know that they are going to go out and do things. They are aware of the situation that they're in, and that's kind of the first time that we've really heard that there is a fire lit underneath Ross Atkins' ass right now to go out and to do something and to make this team better.
Yeah, look, he's got 2 years left on his contract, I believe, Ross Atkins does. And, I mean, he could even be less than that if he doesn't get something done this offseason and gets a team back into playoff contention. Again, a lot of people look at the whole reeks of desperation and thinks this is embarrassing, this is bad. I don't care. I mean, we were talking about money for the first half of this podcast. Look, at the end of the day, it's not my money. Obviously, I want you to make good financial decisions to, add all the talent you can to this ball club. But for me as a fan, if you're telling me that you are going to try and be competitive next year, then go be competitive. Do whatever it takes and be desperate, because that's the mentality you got to have. If you're going to shoot for the sun and land on the moon, do that, right? Go try your best to bring this team back to contention while we have Vladdy and while we have Bo on 1-year deals left. Go get it done.
Let's not lie to ourselves, guys. We are desperate, and
we are.
We need some talent to come in here to fix things. You guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about everything that we talked about today? Quick shout out once again to the First Up podcast and also to Buster Olney. Great stuff over there. Go check them out, everybody. Hit the like, smash the subscribe button. $3 a month, become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to all of our current Patreon members and our YouTube members. You guys are the best.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
Go Jays, go!